Hello Star Wars fans, and welcome to my review of Luke Skywalker's Snowspeeder. Ta-da! So here it is, a beautiful thing. Let's start with the way it looks. Basically, it's mostly this light gray that you see, but it has these darker panels. Darker panels as well as lighter ones. So there's probably about 3 different shades of gray on this, as well as little red arrows everywhere and some Arabesh text, which I have yet to translate. I need to get on that later. Just some details everywhere. So yeah, you've got your red, you've got 3 shades of gray. So that's pretty good. It makes it look, I don't know, not like it's just one solid color, which is cool. The sculpt is really great. There is just little details and little rivets everywhere. You really can see like every little rivet where they're supposed to be, and that's the same on the front for all the paneling that goes on. There's little rivets in all of that. It's a pretty detailed sculpt. Here again on the back, you've got like all sorts of details all around on the back of this thing. It's pretty cool. Let's go on to all the movable parts. Of course, the cockpit opens. Although this can be a little tough. I'm learning how to do it. And there's plenty of space in there for 2 characters. There were about 12-ish little panels that were stickers that I had to put on. And that can be kind of tough, especially this back one. But I did my best. This is one cool thing. You see this this little hole right in there? That's the perfect size to fit the grappling hook that the Luke Skywalker Snowspeeder pilot figure comes with. So I thought that was neat, kind of making the 2 work with each other in a unique way. Yeah, and those little handles back there, I tested it with a figure, and they are the rightish size that figures can actually grasp onto them. Unfortunately, there's nothing like that in Luke's part of the cockpit. There are these little tiny things down by the side, but I don't think they're meant to be controlled handles. I just kind of have his hands floating down there. Even on the seats, you can't tell with the camera, but there's some really fine texturing going on in there, and it just makes for a very impressive look overall. And where the inside is just one color, they make up for it by having a lot of texture and a lot of details and stuff. So that's pretty cool. Even the underside of the cockpit is textured. That's sculpted texture. Good job, Hasbro. Then of course you have these 2 flaps, the turning flaps, which are red underneath, and I don't like to close them all the way because they can be a little hard to get up. I don't know if it's just because my thing is new and the joints are still wearing in, but I just don't want to break off my fingernails trying to get these things to open, so I keep them a little ajar the whole time. So that's neat. You've got your swiveling harpoon gun. Your 2 main laser cannons. Also, just like the rest of it, very detailed sculpt. And you have this little flap down here, which I'll explain that in a second. And you have your landing foot claw, whatever. So, it just makes it so that when you set it on the ground, it's sitting up properly instead of leaning too far forward. So yeah, that's all the moving parts, except that for each one of those guns, the 2 main front cannons, the lasers, and the back harpoon gun, there are alternates, ones that have a playable function. They shoot little things. This is the alternate for one of the main cannons, and you put this little torpedo thing in the front, and that actually finishes the look of the original cannon. Just basically these things are bigger than the originals because they have to actually fit something in it, and you press this little button and boom, it shoots out. That's kind of neat. And they basically attach just by, there's a little hole in here that it pushes into, and then it there pushes into that hole right there. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Then it's the same thing, obviously, for both the guns, but also for the harpoon. There is a bigger version. of the harpoon gun here, which you just pull this out the top, put the new harpoon gun in, and then you have one that fires this little harpoon. Now it's actually attached to a cable, which you can put in this hole right here. There's a little mounting fixture that just goes in like that. If you want to hide the cable, like if it's on display but you want to use the actual shooting harpoon gun, you can see how this hole actually can feed the whole string right through, and you can pull it up and through and just bundle this up and put it in there. So then you have just the amount of cable sticking out that you want. So here you can just give it a little bit of give, and then when you fire, you know, it pulls the cable right out. Pretty cool. It can't really pull it all the way out. The cable, you know, has enough friction that it stops the harpoon from going too far. But still, I'm just so impressed that they have like this all thought out. You know, they could have just made a harpoon that shoots, or even, you know, had a big dangly cable. But then like adding this extra compartment, I don't know. It just seems like they put a lot of thought into this, and it really pays off. And then for the collectors that don't want to play with it, you've got, you know, the more to scale, movie accurate versions, except, you know, it's just a plain basic gray, not a black or nothing. But and boom, it looks just like in the movie. But then you've got, yeah, the version where it can shoot. I mean, the kids would love that. I just think that's really cool. They really were appealing to multiple Star Wars audiences. Ooh, here's another removable part I forgot. This engine comes off, and you've got this panel that comes off really easily, and you just, you know, got some red, I don't know, you know, innards. So somebody could be working on that, you know, maybe that new Han, you could have him welding in there or something like that. And once again with the detail, this panel, this is the backside, this is the underside, the part that, you know, we're not supposed to see. And look at all that detail, you know, here's the top side. They're just really paying attention to detail on this, and I'm impressed, obviously. The scale is right. You know, Luke fits in there just right. And a second guy. Unfortunately, I don't have another pilot right now, so Boss will have to do. But hey, they're my figures. I can play with them how I want. The only problem with the build is that the way that things get stuck in is kind of, I don't know, difficult to open. I keep kind of hurting my fingernails when I open them, so I try not to like close them all the way. But I think over time that'll get a little easier. You know, even in the past couple days of me toying with this, I can tell it's gotten a bit easier. This is the diorama that comes in the box, and I gotta say, it's actually pretty neat. You know, it kind of doesn't make total sense because the sky continues down onto the ground, but whatever, it's detailed and glossy, and has some pretty cool stuff going on. I like it a lot. I don't think I'll use it, but just because I like to build dioramas myself. But this is a cool thing nonetheless. I'm glad, you know, they went an extra step in the packaging. They could have just put it in a box and said, there you go, but this is kind of a neat little play feature. So yeah, let's sum it up. Luke Snowspeeder. It's got awesome accessories. The harpoon and the main two guns, you have ones that are, you know, movie replicas, and then you have play function ones that you can replace. Great idea. I think it's really cool. Love it. You've got, you know, a good solid build with a ton of detail. There's just so much detail on this thing. I wouldn't mind, you know, some more painting inside the cockpit, because really it's just one color except for where I put the decals. All in all, I'm really impressed with this vehicle. I'm so glad I got it, and I highly recommend it. Yeah, so thumbs way up for this thing. Go out and buy it. Bye.